Whew. Oh boy. Let's put the title aside for a second and start this video with the positives, the good things, the pros of this PTB and the chapter coming to DBD in the coming weeks. Let's start with the maps. The reworked Red Forest looks incredible. I think they did a phenomenal job with this. I am personally not a fan of most of their map reworks. Usually, yeah, the textures objectively are better, they're higher resolution, but in each of the map reworks, they've always lost their aesthetic. They become more stale, more boring. But this added on top of the aesthetic. It made it its own thematic map. It made it feel more like a forest kind of area in the gloomy night, rather than just, you know, another DBD map. As well as the Shelter Woods change, which I don't think anyone saw coming, where they made a main building in Shelter Woods. Before, Shelter Woods was a very boring map. The only thing that made it stand out from any other map was the giant tree in the middle. But now they gave it a main building. They gave it a little bit of character, a little bit of life with the new killers, essentially shack, their hut. And I think it looks really cool. There's a lot of personality in there, and I really like the top floor of it. It looks pretty dope. Overall, I'm a big fan of the Shelter Woods additions and the Red Forest rework in general. Next up, the bots. I am a big fan of bots, and I think that the bot changes with the loadouts are incredible. You can select pretty much any perk in the game. There are some that are limited, but I was surprised by how many perks they let you use. I thought there would be maybe 2, 3, maximum 4 pages that they would allow with the bots, but they let you use a damn good amount of them. They also let you use items too, and add-ons, and let them bring offerings. They really added in this loadout system, and there are 4 loadouts for the bot survivors, which I don't know why you as a player can't have 4 loadout slots, but I digress. You can have up to 4 different preset loadouts and apply those to each of the bots. You can even select survivors now in terms of what the bot is, which is pretty cool as well. But overall, I'm a big fan of that. The bot changes. The bots definitely behave a lot better now. I haven't played too many different killers to really properly test them out, but they definitely behave a lot better. They still do that weird thing where they go to the corners of the map. Don't know why that is. Hopefully they'll fix that one day. But overall, the bot changes are really, really good. Obviously, Eruption and any means necessary. I mean, come on. You know, those are good changes. Any means, I don't know where that came from, but hey, I'm not going to complain about it. Maybe it'll see a little bit more use. Eruption was a bane of existence on everyone who played Survivors, so I'm glad that shit got nuked. Next up is the 2 new Survivors. Aesthetically, look really, really cool. I like the look of both of them. I'm probably going to use both of them. One of them has a rather large personality, but overall the art team did a really good job with these 2. Really well done. And that covers the pros. All right, into the rough stuff. The new killer, the Skull Merchant, might be the most underwhelming killer I have seen yet in this game. I cannot express how underwhelming this killer is. As Survivor, I am barely fazed by the drones. They don't really mean anything to me. I just run right through them, and they really don't pose any sort of a threat. The only way I can even remotely think of using this killer's power is for 3-genning, but even then, Knight does that better by a landslide. Quite a few other killers do that better by a landslide. So even that, they're not like an expertise at. If you don't really know what the power is, the killer has 4 drones that they can throw down in a large radius. If the survivor stays in that radius, they become exposed, and Killer Instinct goes off on them. The problem is that it takes a very, very long time for the drone to activate, a very long time for the exposed to kick in, and it goes away in a very short amount of time. So it doesn't really do anything. The real kicker is if you're injured, because if you're injured, the drones literally don't do anything. They expose you, they'll show your Killer Instinct, but unless you're running pretty decent add-ons, they won't really do much, and even with those add-ons, it's a minor nuisance at most. Onto her aesthetic, this is more of a personal opinion part, but I just don't really find her aesthetic very interesting at all. It feels more like a Rainbow Six Siege character or a Fortnite character or something, and not a DBD character. It's more of a personal thing with that, but the overall aesthetic just doesn't really interest me, and I've heard that a lot as well. On top of that, her Mori is very, very lackluster, like worse than Freddy's, worse than Pigs. They have been doing really, really good with Moris. Even Knight, I think, has the best Mori in the game, but this, I think Wraith is better than the Skull Merchant's Mori. The chase music, I really don't know why they like washing machines so much, is all I'll say on that one. And the perks. The perks, on the killer end, they're pretty much worthless. There's a bit of meme synergy going on there, but you're not really going to see the perks from killer very much at all. On the Survivor end, most of the perks are kind of in the same boat. Maybe a little bit of meme potential, maybe a little bit of synergy with other stuff. But for the most part, there's nothing really grand there. There's a couple that are good, like Blood Rush, for example. But even then, that perk and the new Exhaustion perk that activates when you unhook someone both encourage tunneling. So they're not even good perks for creating a good meta. They're just going to encourage tunneling if they become used too much. Overall, this chapter is extremely disappointing, and I went into it trying to have a positive attitude and trying to come up with more positive things, but what I listed at the beginning of the video was it. This is a very bland, lifeless chapter with not a whole lot of character put into it. I felt like every single thing just had something missing. Even with the killer's power, especially with the killer's power, it feels like there is no main power. You know how Freddy can teleport, but he mainly uses the snares and the dream pallets. Well, this feels like Freddy, but with only the teleporting. There's no snares, there's no dream pallets. It's just this weird secondary utility, and you never use a main utility because she doesn't have a main utility. Just this weird secondary thing. I don't know. I wanted to come at this with a positive light, but it's very, very difficult. And I just needed to air some frustrations and my disappointment with this chapter because I don't know. I don't really foresee myself playing this killer very much at all. And I don't foresee anyone else playing this killer very much. And we really needed a banger after the night. It's just very, very unfortunate that we got something worse than that. I think far worse because at the very least, Knight had a very cool aesthetic, pretty dope Mori, and overall really good perks that came with him and Vittorio, and it sucks because this chapter doesn't even have any of that, and I cannot recommend it, at least not how it is on the PTB. This video might become incredibly outdated on the live build if they make some major improvements. I really, really hope so, but as it stands, I cannot recommend this chapter. If you're going to get it, use Iridescent Shards, because it is an original chapter, so you'll be able to get it with those. I would recommend maybe the Survivors, because the Survivor perks are better than the Killer perks, and I think the Survivors aesthetically look pretty cool. But other than that, I can't really recommend this chapter. And my voice is going out, so I'm going to go ahead and call it there and not waste any more of your time. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know down below. Am I being too harsh? Am I being too critical? I tried to be as fair as possible with this, but overall, the more I think about it, the more disappointed I get. Hopefully, with the feedback from the PTB, though, they can make some good adjustments, fix up the perks a little bit, fix up the power especially. I think that they can make the power work, but I just worry that it'll be a Knight situation where it just becomes oppressive and super unfun to go against. Either way, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. And hey, have a good one. Bye-bye.